I knew the carpet would burn my palms before I even hit the ground. I braced for it anyway, not for the pain, because pain and I have been acquainted for years, but for the laughter. And it came, sharp and bright, like broken glass skittering across a tile floor. Above it all, my sister's voice sliced cleanly through the noise. "Get up, Liam. You're not injured. Stop leeching." I stayed on the floor a moment longer than I had to, letting the humiliation soak into my bones, letting them think they'd cracked something vital in me. But they hadn't, not tonight. Not with my surgeon standing in the doorway behind them, watching the scene unfold like a man witnessing a disaster he'd predicted, but still prayed wouldn't come true. He stayed silent, waiting for the exact second he needed. 6 words, just 6, and everything would shift. But before that, before the fracture in our family finally revealed itself, there were years when Mara was different. There was a time she carried me on her back across rain-soaked fields after I twisted my ankle. A time she held my face in trembling hands when I broke my leg at 13, swearing on everything she loved that she'd always protect me. Funny how vows decay, how blood thins when ambition enters the bloodstream. Dad used to say loyalty was our family's backbone. Turns out ours was spinal dust, blowing away the moment pressure touched it. They loved me when I was useful, when I ran the business books, when I fixed their messes, when my body obeyed every demand. Weakness, real or imagined, was the only unforgivable sin. The injury was real. A torn meniscus, shredded beyond repair after I fell from the scaffolding at the warehouse. Mara's warehouse, the one she insisted was up to code. Except it wasn't. And Dr. Rowan told me that in the quiet office after the MRI, his voice low, steady, unwilling to soften the truth. This wasn't an accident. The bolts were loosened. He didn't know the family politics behind it, but I did. Mara had been circling my role for months, nudging Dad into doubting me, planting whispers about financial discrepancies she engineered herself. A slow erosion of trust, grain by grain, mess by mess. I didn't lash out. Shock, as I've learned, has its uses. So does silence. I smiled through the ache, nodded through the lies, and cataloged everything. No confrontation. That would have given her power. Instead, I started preparing. I collected inspector reports, archived every email she sent from burner accounts, blaming me for violations she fabricated. I got statements from warehouse workers, every one of them terrified of her temper, but tired of her lies. Quietly, methodically, I built my case like a cathedral made of paperwork and truth. Dr. Rowan agreed to testify, his calm fury matching my own. I didn't want revenge. Revenge is messy. I wanted justice wrapped in inevitability. The legal complaints were filed under seal. The investigations simmered quietly, airtight. The authorities moved slower than my patients preferred, but with a precision I respected. Meanwhile, I played my part perfectly, limping through dinners, letting Mara call me dramatic, letting relatives hide smirks in their napkins. They saw weakness. I saw camouflage. 2 nights before Dad's birthday, the investigator called. "Everything's ready. We'll approach publicly. Your surgeon will be present." Perfect. I slept better that night than I had in months. And now here we were. Dad's birthday. Half the extended family buzzing around the dining room, wine pouring too freely, old resentments floating just beneath the laughter. Mara wearing that smug smile like a crown. And me on the floor, the room echoing with the laughter she orchestrated. Her mistake wasn't yanking the crutch from my hand. It was assuming no one important had witnessed it. Dr. Rowan stepped forward, voice steady as a hammer. He placed a hand on her shoulder and delivered the 6 words that snapped her world clean in half. "Ma'am, you are under investigation." The laughter stopped like someone cut a wire. Mara froze, the color draining from her face. He continued, louder now so the entire room could hear. "For intentional injury, medical fraud, and endangerment." Gasps rippled through the table. Chairs scraped back. Dad's wine glass slipped from his hand and shattered on the tiles. Mara stood there, looking like a ghost painted in expensive makeup. Then the investigators entered, badges raised, timing flawless. They read her rights while her voice trembled, eyes darting to me like I'd betrayed her. Liam, you set me up. I met her gaze, with the calm she always mistook for weakness.
No.
You set the trap. I just stepped aside. The room evaporated after that. Relatives suddenly remembered all the moments they could have spoken up and didn't. Dad cried, actually cried, and apologized. I let him. Guilt is a weight meant for its rightful owner, not for the nearest son to carry. As for Mara, she finally learned something I understood years ago. Cruelty is a boomerang. Throw it long enough, and it comes back looking exactly like justice. I walked out of the house without a crutch, each step slow and deliberate, my legs steady enough to carry the weight of peace. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it speaks 6 quiet words and lets the silence finish the job.